From the World Center of Racing, Daytona International Speedway, about to get underway with the 18th race of the season. And make sure to jump into the Fantasy League. We have our own Fantasy League, NASCAR.com/NBC Sports Fantasy. Want to join us? We would gladly accept you. 10 races up till the playoffs. You guys are doing pretty good, right?
Yeah, we are doing good. Now, this race is tough because you really got to pay attention because you got your driver in the garage. You need to move him out if you want to put him in the starting lineup before the beginning of this last stage. So be paying attention to what's going on with your lineup.
Yeah, this is the one that's going to be the toughest to call because so many guys can get up here and make it a good night. So trying to pick those five, trying to pick the right five is going to be tough.
Yeah.
I'm trying to figure out when I'm going to have time to move my garage driver out. I might be gone for just a moment.
I'll let you know. I'll let you know. And again, you're playing against us. You're playing against the
well, then I'm okay.
Don't let him know nothing.
Oh, okay. I'll forget about that then. Hey, earlier yesterday, Todd Lewis at the Golf Channel came and did a ride around with Denny Hamlin, and they talked about seeing the air. Listen.
You know, I hear at Daytona International Speedway, Dale Earnhardt used to say that he could see the air. Do you vision that as well?
What he's basically saying is he can see pockets of air starting to form. So you can see two cars up in front of you. If they're disturbing the air, you can feel it in your car. Your car will start to pick up RPM because there's less resistance on it. If you get two cars side by side, just think about if you follow one tractor trailer, that's a good amount of air on the highway that your car starts buffering around. If you put two beside each other, there's almost no air coming to your car, so there's nothing going to your back spoiler. And that's the only thing that slows us down is air touching the back spoiler. That slows our car.
Well, we heard Denny Hamlin talking about seeing the air, Junior, and I know I could never see the air, and I always wondered when your dad talked about seeing the air, what exactly was he referring to?
Yeah, he couldn't see it either, but he knew where it was, and he always insisted on wearing an open face helmet. And he said he could feel the pressure in the car change and feel and hear the motor better to be able to understand when he's working that air properly. You can see him side draft Kyle Petty right there. He's going to side draft old Dale Jarrett right here in the Yates Rocket. See him side draft and move away. He's trying to get away from Dale Jarrett so they don't side draft him back. I mean, I don't know if Dad invented the side draft, but he certainly was the best at it.
Well, I think you learned fairly well. You guys mentioned 34 wins for your dad here, 17 for you.
Yeah, I watched him run a lot of races here, win a lot of races here, and I wondered, we never talked about racing, but I wondered how that worked. And so when I got out here, I started trying everything I could, and that's what I like about a plate racer today is the guy that's out there moving around, trying to learn something. Even if it doesn't work, just trying to make anything happen.
And I think that's what's so important about the start of this race. It's 160 to go. To get ready to come to the green flag. The things you learn right now are the things you can apply later in the race. I want to see who's going to be aggressive. There's some drivers out there that are going to try to right now get the lead and never give it up. The race for track position, in my opinion, in today's restrictor plate racing is exceptionally important. If you get it, do everything you can to keep it.
Pace car's about to make the hard left turn onto pit road. That will leave the field in the hands of Chase Elliott, Alex Bowman making up row one. Fans on their feet as the Coke Zero Sugar 400 is underway.
Interesting restart, not a real tight restart. Of course, the car's going to bunch up and start to draft a little bit as they get more speed. Chase Elliott got out to that lead pretty easy. And it's real important to get that lead early. You want to lead every lap. That's the safest place to be, Jeff.
Yeah, as this race progresses, we're going to see way more aggressive restarts where people are trying to hit each other and shove each other and trying to get that lead.
You say that's the safest place to be, but about right here is where Eric Almirola was out front with just less than a half a lap in the Daytona 500, and he got turned around.
That was the last lap. Anything goes on the last lap.
Different.
But the safest place to be during the entire race is going to be up in the front, and you want to work all night long to try to stay there, and that way you don't have to work to get there later. If you're leading this race 100 laps to go, you're in a great position. You want to be leading it with about 50 laps to go as they start to get down to those last several cautions. So it's really important to not relax and give up track position now. You want to keep it all night long. Make it easy on your pit crew. Make it easy on your crew chief to know what strategy to use. Do all that by staying out front.
Right here you see Austin Dillon. He wants to go up there and just give McDowell just a touch, get him moving. He's got to be careful because the 17 car of Stenhouse is in front of McDowell. If he hits him too hard, he'll shove him into the 17 and cause a wreck.
Yeah, that'll be a lot more aggressive later in the race. Right now, everybody's trying to take care of each other. You're obviously trying to take advantage of each other, and if you can get a position, you get it. But you don't want to start no crashes this early.
3 wide already back here. And Junior, you mentioned being in the middle of 3 wide might be the most nervous place on the entire track.
Yeah, you need a lot of information from your spotter to be able to navigate a situation like that.
Right out of the back of Chase Elliott's car. I think the most aggressive plate racer on the racetrack is right here, the 2-car Brad Keselowski. I can promise you, if he can get the lead, he's going to be doing everything he can. Big move by Bowman right here. He's got his teammate Jimmy Johnson, Chase Elliott with the block. Now he's got to hope Keselowski doesn't get a run. Keselowski's far enough up on him where I don't think he can get down there and block him.
He committed to that top and thought that even if Keselowski did get to the inside, he's got 2 teammates behind him, so he's got good loyalty behind him to be able to reclaim that position. Marty.
Hey, Junior, I found it interesting what Chase Elliott told us in Countdown to Green. He said, I feel like early on in the race, I have to establish I have speed. I want to show other cars that they can work with me and trust me. He said, I learned that yesterday in the Xfinity Series race. They saw we had a fast car, and all of a sudden, I had a lot of friends. So, Junior, for a young driver like Chase Elliott, you agree with him? How important is it to show, hey, I've got some speed, work with me?
That's absolutely true, and you want to start doing that as soon as you unload the race car. You go out there and practice, and you show those guys that you can make the moves and that your car can complete the moves. They know by Sunday when this race starts, or Saturday night, in this example, that you are a guy that's going to have a fast car and that's going to help them move toward the front, so they're going to be more willing to work with you.
Yeah, Chase Elliott, he's trying to drag that line to the outside. Look at what he's doing. He's entering the corner on the wall, and he's staying there, not going to the bottom. They're hoping to build some momentum on the outside line and make the inside where it doesn't work. And right now, everybody's going with them. As long as they stay single file, it's going to be hard to get that inside line moving again.
So Chase Elliott is mashing the gas right now with his right foot. But on Wednesday, when he was jumping into a pool, having some fun for the 4th of July, he sprained his right ankle. How difficult is that for a guy with a sprained right ankle to be mashing the gas right now?
Yeah, that's a great question to ask, because he's going to be pushing on that gas pedal all night long and pushing hard. Man, he's going to be trying to get everything he can out of this car every single lap. So he might not be sore or might not think that that ankle is going to bother him this weekend, but he's going to be dealing with that after the race for sure.
Junior, there were times that inside of the car would get so hot that I would actually take my left foot and put on the gas pedal.
Yeah.
And because my heel was burning on my right foot, so I'd pick it up off the ground and put my left foot on the throttle and use that. And you can do that here because you're wide open. You can't do that at Charlotte, but you can certainly do it here.
Let's take a look at helmet cam here for Bubba Wallace Jr. and see exactly what he's dealing with here in the outside line. He's trying to move forward.
Saw 204 miles an hour there for Bubba.
Yep. Back in the pack, it's a lot tougher to sort of navigate. You got to lift a lot, get big runs on guys, and sometimes you don't have anywhere to go. You kind of boxed in. If he goes 3 wide up the middle, is it too early to do that? You know, you get yourself in a crash, and then you're the guy everybody's going to blame for starting to look here.
Whoa,
look how hard he had to lift up right there.
And that let the inside line get a run. When you get that big of a lift, something happened in front of him. We couldn't see it, but Junior, that's what the inside line needs. They need something like that to happen to slow that momentum down and get the inside rolling.
Yeah, either, as a driver, you're either looking far enough ahead to see that happening before it happens, or see those cars 4 or 5 rows ahead. They start lifting, you got to be ready to lift, or you're getting this information from your spotter. You got a great spotter that can give you that information that, man, lift. They're all stacking up here. Kelly.
And Junior, who can forget that emotional runner-up finish for Bubba Wallace in the Daytona 500? They showed they had good speed then, and they're feeling really optimistic today. His crew chief, Drew Blickensderfer, told me they're really happy with the car. It has really good drivability. They said they intentionally took some speed out of the 43 car to help with that drivability. They made some long runs in practice. Bubba knows exactly what to expect as the tires wear on this car. They see this as a big opportunity for these 43s.
He gained a lot of respect in the Daytona 500 when he had a runner-up finish in the biggest race the sport has to start off the season. That Daytona 500 second place finish as it's dicing up at the front once again. Here comes Ricky Stenhouse Jr. Very aggressive and a very good plate racer, making the move on the outside.
Yeah, Jimmy Johnson was on the outside lane playing with all his teammates, playing nice, and then he decided he was going to drive to the bottom, and when he did, he got that inside line moving, and it checked that outside line up, and that made Chase Elliott go to the bottom. So the move by Jimmy Johnson changed the entire tempo of what Chase Elliott was trying to do. Now he's back on the bottom of the racetrack.
You use the word loyalty. Well, teammates going different ways right now.
Grab an ice-cold Coke and buckle up. You're watching the Coke Zero Sugar 400 on NBC.
And you need to buckle up. They have been 2 and 3 wide, and a good fight for the lead has started up. John Deere 3 wide Gator brings you this moment where drivers were 3 wide. You see Clint Boyer on the inside, Logano right in the middle, and Jamie McMurray on the high side. TJ Majors is Joey Logano's spotter, and TJ Majors very familiar with you, Dale Jr. He was your spotter for many years.
Absolutely. It's spotters so important at this racetrack. That's where they earn their money, man. They're going to be talking to their drivers all night long, trying to help them get around this racetrack and help them navigate the traffic, know where the runs are coming from, who's pushing who, how strong the runs are from behind, how to block them. Big change in the lead here, obviously, with Stenhouse now out front. McDowell, man, he's worked his way up into second place. He was a surprise in qualifying. So be a surprise in the race tonight.
Chase Stenhouse Jr. leading the race, and before we left, we said that the Hendrick train went to the bottom of the racetrack, and when it did, it created a big line on the outside with all the Hendrick cars on the inside. Watch this shot. McDowell gives Stenhouse Jr. just shoves him out in front of Chase Elliott, and that's how he got the lead. Then once he got the lead, he drug the line to the top. Right now, the top line has been the best line. Once they get lined up, single file, go to the top, it seems like they drive away from the bottom. It's going to take something like happened earlier, Junior, where 2 guards got together, the top guys have to lift to get that bottom line with the momentum.
And I was surprised that with the Hendrick cars lined up and working together that they weren't able to fend that off, or they didn't. The Chase maybe wasn't a little more aggressive to fend that off, but they're committed to each other on that bottom groove, and if they stay there, they may be able to get that line going again, work their way back up toward the front.
They're going 200 miles an hour, and a wiggle there out of Austin Dillon in the 3, a big wiggle. Austin running 3rd right now. But when they're running 200 miles an hour and somebody comes and hits you in the back bumper like that and gives you that extra little burst of speed, what's it feel like?
You just want them to do it on the straightaway. You don't want them to do it in the corner or obviously in the tri-oval. The cars are very loose and a handful already by themselves in the tri-oval, so you don't want anybody pushing you there. And it's where they push you, Jeff. You want the guys to push you on the right rear quarter panel. That's where it's going to be the most comfortable. If they get into that left rear quarter panel and hit you, it's easily a way to turn a guy around.
Yeah, it's so scary. Getting on that right rear quarter panel and pushing on that rear bumper, because if you ever get mislined, now you're on the right rear quarter and you turn them head on into the wall. So that's the most effective place, but it's kind of scary to do it. And as we look back on Michael McDowell, what a great story right now. I mean, this little team is bringing the fight to all the big guys in the Cup Series, and they've got a Roush engine, they got Roush able to build this car, and he's following a Roush car, Dave.
That's right, Jeff, and a small group of people who have help from a big organization like Roush. But Roush has been struggling everywhere but at the restrictor plate tracks. So when Roush does well here, so does Front Row Motorsports, Michael McDowell, and David Reagan. Right now, McDowell showing that they've got the same strength that RFR has.
It's great to see these small teams have a shot. That's what Daytona provides, Daytona and Talladega.
Let's take a look at this replay here of bump draft. Can you see down the front straightaway through the tri-oval, he gets into him. That's a decent push. I mean, that's nothing that upset McDowell. Coming out of the tri-oval, he's trying to hit him as soon as he can. So as soon as he gets straight, he wants to give him that shove. So Dillon did a great job through the tri-oval, setting it up, being able to push him as soon as their car settled onto the straightaway. Parker.
Guys, how about Ty Dillon there running in 5th? Remember, his brother won the Daytona 500 earlier this year. I asked him, when you come to these super speedway races, do you enjoy it? Do you look forward to it? He goes, a couple of years ago, I made a conscious decision to like this kind of racing, because you can go either way. You can hate it and not do well, or you can like it and enjoy it and get great runs. And this race last year, he came to the late in the race and had a shot at winning. He said that gave me so much confidence to come here tonight.
Confidence is key. If you're confident behind the wheel of your car, you gotta feel good about doing whatever you want to do.
Pretty interesting stuff happening right here, Jeff.
Yes.
Denny Hamlin trying to make some moves on Joey Logano. He's getting in and out of line, he sees this whole line starting to form up high, but he's still looking.
There he goes.
Still trying to make passes and it's almost like I hate to say, almost like a side job, man. He's trying to get up. He's trying to get a run on that guy's side draft and get up in front of him before that hole closes.
And he saw these lap cars coming. He knew that they were going to be on the outside, and I think that's what he was trying to do. He was trying to form a line on the inside.
The risk is that he loses all these positions.
Right.
And he's willing to take that risk. We've seen Denny Hamlin do this time and time again when the whole field lines up on the top. Then he's going to be one of those guys that'll try his hardest to form a line on the bottom. He doesn't like sitting in line and riding around the top of the racetrack all day.
He's trying to find, there you go. He found a hole, so he tried something, didn't really pay a price for it.
Daytona 500 winner back in 2016, Denny Hamlin has shuffled back a bit, trying to be aggressive, trying to take some spots away. One thing you have to have while you're watching the races, NASCAR Mobile. It's the official app of NASCAR, and it puts race coverage and live in-car cameras right at your fingertips. Search in the App Store, or you can visit NASCAR.com/mobile. You're watching Monster Energy Cup Series racing from Daytona International Speedway. And Steve, this race a little bit different. The length of the stages make it a little bit different for strategy tonight.
It does, Rick. If you come back here in February or the first race at Talladega, all of these cars would have been required to come to pit road during the first stage for fuel. They couldn't run the entire stage in one tank of fuel. But here in Daytona, the 400-mile race, it's a 40-lap first stage. I think that is really driving some of the racing you see, because these drivers know they're safe to run all the way to the end of stage one if we don't have a yellow. I think that is what's driving some of the tempo on the racetrack. Marty?
Steve, you know how hard these pit crew members work. We're following Ray Black Jr. on the track right now, and he will have Brianna Daniels, who will be the first African-American tire changer to pit a Cup car tonight on this car. And also Brianna O'Leary. She is also going to be on this crew changing tires. I had a chance to talk to Daniels, who you saw just a moment ago. She was actually a starting point guard for Norfolk State on their basketball team, and she told me, hey, I could have played professional basketball in Europe, but I heard about the NASCAR Drive for Diversity Combine, and I thought, why not me? Why don't I try out for that? That was 2016. 2.5 years later, both of those ladies have worked so hard to get to this moment tonight to pit this car, and they will on this first stop of the evening. Rick, what about that accomplishment for those ladies to get here and compete on this pit road tonight? Still athletes. I asked both of them, are you nervous? They said, nope, we're athletes. We're ready.
Well, a lot of pressure on the pit crews here, because one little mistake, it's difficult to gain track position on the track, but you can grab a lot when you're on pit road, so a lot of pressure there.
Well, it is very difficult to gain positions on the track. We've seen that. Jaden McMurray is leading this inside line. There were about 4 more cars in this line, and several of them have bailed out. Clint Boyer, he was in there, bailed out. There's been several, then he popped back down. They've been kind of going back and forth. They'll go down there, then they get scared and they go back, then there's a hole and they go back down to the bottom. So everyone's afraid right now, Junior, to make this bottom, because it just doesn't seem like it's been able to work.
Well, it's working well enough to stay there, and I think the more guys that would, to believe in it and get down there and be a part of it. I'm sure maybe there are some guys in that outside line that want to be there. They just can't get in that line. There's not room, obviously, for them to pull down in front of somebody, but they're working this bottom, and that bottom is going to eventually be something that they'll have to deal with. It's going to find its way toward the front.
And what's happening right now, the spotters are talking to the drivers that are in the outside lane, and they're saying the inside lane is building. It's getting a little bit better. Somebody's going to hang a left and try to lead that inside line. Who will that guy be? Let's go on board the 9 car.
I'm okay with being down here. Obviously, just needs a push help. Yeah, we just don't have enough help right now behind us.
It takes a lot of guys down there to make it work. I mean, you got to work together too. And there's a lot of things that you have to do with the side draft. When you're in the inside line and trying to, kind of struggling to beat that outside line, you got to side draft the heck out of that guy in the driver's door. Pin him up against the fence. And what that will do, it'll hold him in position. Even if somebody comes up behind him, rarely will they be able to push him through. And what that does is gives your help an opportunity to come up and help you on the inside. So, like, the one should be really side drafting that 21 car Menard as hard as he can on the straightaway to hold that position until Chase can get up there and help.
Surprisingly, the top 5 that started this race aren't even running in the top 10 right now. That's how much positions changed quickly. Kelly.
Rick, you guys talk about drivers trying that low lane. Well, Jamie McMurray in the 1 car had been running the high lane, but he said it was just getting a really good run. So he talked it over with his spotter and said, hey, do you think it's worth making a run to the bottom? And they basically said, you know what? We've got nothing to lose at this stage. They feel like they can always make a move back into that high line if they need to. Remember, Jamie McMurray trying to snap a 165 winless streak. And this could be just the place to do it, Marty.
Apparently Denny Hamlin getting in the middle there trying to mix it up, but Chase Elliott and his team, it's a numbers game. They're trying to get the feel for how that bottom line is going to work. In fact, Eddie DeHaan told him, you can move up if you want. Chase chose to stay on the bottom line, so they're trying to get those numbers, Parker, to work on the bottom if they can.
Marty, I think I know the problem. In speaking to Clint Bowyer, who's been between the top line and the bottom line trying to make it work the other day, he joked to me. He said, you know, the problem is about getting those lines to work is Dale Jr. isn't out there. No one knows who to follow anymore. No one's leading the pack on the bottom. We need you out there, Dale, is what he said.
Yeah, it's a nice compliment.
I tell you what, I think a lot of drivers are going to start following the 17. He has had some incredible races at these restrictor plate tracks, and once again out front here at Daytona. Stenhouse Jr. has led 19 laps already. In his win last year, he led only 17 laps of that race.
You made a promise. You agreed to never give up, to be a decent neighbor, to remember the good people who rise with every challenge, to remember their strength when you feel tired, to serve with grit and grace. You made a promise. We did too. The all-new Ram 1500.
Pizza Hut always has the $7.99 deal you can get delivered. So why go anywhere else? Don't just make it pizza night. Make it Pizza Hut Pizza Night and get your favorites delivered. Large 2-topping pizzas, just $7.99. Order online now. One more way no one out pizzas the Hut.
When it's too cold for camping, we go camping. When it's too hot to work, we work. Too far to fish? Too hard to hunt? Too wet to keep going? Nah. This is the Gator XUV 835 with game-changing heat and AC, 3 wide seating, and our quietest cab for a comfortable ride. It's never too anything for anything. Nothing runs like a deer.
Hey, Dad, what are you doing?
Kevin here says Mobil 1 annual protection is proven to protect for 20,000 miles.
It'll save you a lot of time.
And what do I always say about time?
Well, you say there's not enough time in the day, and then you sigh loudly, and then you say your shin's hurt. Hey, with all this extra time...
Sorry, buddy. Kevin and I have a tea time at 11.
20,000 miles between oil changes guaranteed. Mobil 1 annual protection. Available at these locations.
Pizza Hut always has the $7.99 deal you can get delivered. So why go anywhere else? Don't just make it pizza night. Make it Pizza Hut Pizza Night and get your favorites delivered. Large 2-topping pizzas, just $7.99. Order online now. One more way no one out pizzas the Hut.
Section PU 402, row 41.
Jimmy Johnson, the fastest gun in the West.
Section 104, row 4.
Blaney got it first win.
Section 25, row 3.
What a year for Bubba.
Section O, row 25.
Keselowski's gonna win at Talladega.
Section 156, row 4.
Kurt Busch to the lead on the backstretch.
Section 233, row 1.
Martin Truex Jr. wins.
You get a seat, but we doubt you'll ever use it. Grab your seats at NASCAR.com/tickets today.
Thank you, America, for making Sunday Night Football the #1 show in primetime television for a record-breaking 7 years in a row. Now let's go get it again this fall on NBC.
6 laps remain in stage 1 of the Monster Energy Cup Series Coke Zero Sugar 400 Daytona International Speedway. NBC Sports Championship season continues. World's best golfers vying for the coveted Claret Jug. You don't want to miss the Open, July 19th through the 22nd on Golf Channel and NBC. Jordan Spieth trying to defend his championship, get back on track. Steve, as we're closing in on the end of stage 1, will someone try some strategy and come to pit road before the end of the stage?
Yeah, it's a great question, Rick. We have seen it at Talladega where cars will peel off right here, take a left, come to pit road with 3 laps to go. The idea is come in, get tires and fuel, knowing the rest of the field will pit at the end of the stage. The concern is lap times here at Daytona, 3 or 4 seconds faster than Talladega. Therefore, your risk of going a lap down is higher. Math says you can pit, but you can have 0 issues, Jeff. A slow pit stop, a mistake by the driver, and you're losing a lap. That's a big risk for anyone in this lead pack.
Yeah, it is a big risk, but the guy that we've seen been willing to make the risk to try to pick up position so far is that one car, Jamie McMurray. See Joey Logano, he just jumped down in front. It's 5 to go. It's time to start making something happen. The 21 car, Menard, he went with him.
On the under.
Oh, there's a 12 car. Now
Ryan
he won.
Blaney as well.
I said 12 car.
And look at who's came all the way down to block. Ricky Stenhouse Jr. and Michael McDowell both seeing that happen, and they came to the bottom of the track.
We were a single file, and in half a lap, now look where we are. We got a race on our hands here, fellas, coming in. These points are so critical, especially these playoff points, because nobody's getting any this year except the big 3.
Now big block. You're going to see the gold. Ricky Stenhouse Jr. is just block, block, block. It's been easy for him. It's not going to be easy anymore.
I think Michael McDowell's also blocking. So Ricky Stenhouse Jr. is staying out in front of Michael McDowell, but McDowell's doing most of the blocking right now.
Those guys, I've seen some handling issues off of turn 2. The 22 car, Joe Logano, had to back off real hard off of turn 2. Late in the run here. Can this bottom work, or will these guys have handling issues on corner exit?
Ty Dillon, he just hung a left, trying to get on that bottom.
Dillon brothers right now running 2nd and 3rd. Austin Dillon in 2nd. Now Michael McDowell has made that top line move just a bit faster. He moves up to 3rd. Ty Dillon, the bottom line, stalling a bit.
And you guys know Ricky Stenhouse Jr. wants to win this stage. They do not have a single stage win this year. 0 playoff points. So even the 1 he would get for staying out front here is critical to make the playoffs.
Man, I'm seeing these guys off the turn 2. That bottom groove, they're not handling very well down there. It's late. The handling's going to be an issue on long runs tonight.
A lot of learning going on as we get closer to the end of this stage. And Michael McDowell down low. It looks like he might lose that top draft.
That was just a mental mistake right there of not really paying attention and blocking every single run a guy gets on you. He was pretty committed. He was pretty comfortable that these guys were going to take care of him in that top line, and he opened up the door of opportunity. Someone took it.
Now it's 3 wide.
Ryan Blaney said, I'm not going to follow you. I'm going to go to the inside. And once again, they're diving for positions, aggressive. Under 2 laps to go.
And how long would it take him to get that position back? You know, you make that move, you open up the door, somebody's going to take it. You have to defend this entire race.
Keselowski trying to make something happen on the bottom, but he doesn't have any help. Clint Boyer's back there in the 14. Here comes Joey Logano in the 22.
See, I think Stenhouse Jr., I think he's going to have to go to the bottom. If he doesn't, then they can just take a left and get next to him. Enough of them make that effort. That would probably work if he runs the top here in 1 and 2.
That's absolutely right.
One more time around in stage 1. Ricky Stenhouse Jr. out front.
Let's see what he does. Is he going to stay on the top or go to the bottom?
Kurt Busch dives down low. He's got to run, see where it goes. A big gap between him and the next car. Probably going to fizzle out on the back straightaway. Let's see if Dillon breaks a run and maybe turns left, like you said, Jeff, and tries to take that lead.
It's Kyle Busch.
He gets a little bit of quarter panel on the 42 side draft, and he's going to get help from William Byron to the inside. He's got a great run up to Austin Dillon. He goes high.
Here comes the 18 of Kyle Busch. Trying to make that high line work. Austin Dillon trying to block. It's not going to work this time, though. Ricky Stenhouse Jr. in the 17 out front. 3 wide as they fight for 2nd at the end of stage 1. Stenhouse Jr. winning that stage. Kyle Busch, what a move he made to move up to 2nd to end stage 1. Kyle Larson, William Byron, Chase Elliott, all in the top 5.
Points matter. Points do matter. And also, that got Chase Elliott. He had fallen pretty far back. That got him back up to 5th place. William Byron did a nice job getting the 4th out of that. Fun racing.
So many times these drivers have said their blood pressure goes up to about 180. Well, it's coming back down now. NASCAR on NBC is brought to you by Pizza Hut. No one out pizzas the Hut. Monster Energy. Unleash the beast. And by Credit One Bank, the official credit card of NASCAR. Tomorrow, the Verizon IndyCar Series on NBCSN. Will Power won the pole. And, of course, Will Power won the Indianapolis 500 earlier this year. How great is it going to be to have the Indy 500 on NBC next year?
Oh, we're going.
I was just going to say, that's going to be my first Indy 500 that I'm ever going to see in person. So why don't we just all rent a motorhome?
I love it.
Can I come?
Snake pit.
Steve.
Y'all hear something?
Oh, yeah.
I hear something.
I heard Steve yell, can I come?
He's our tour director, man.
Yeah.
We got to take Steve.
We're going to go down there and have a lot of fun.
Yeah, that is going to be an incredible race. And we've got a great one in front of us here. Right, Marty?
Indeed, Rick, going to be a little bit of a longer stop for Kevin Harvick and his race team. If you see inside the car, we run a right side window here in the Cup Series cars. The hoses attached to that window for Kevin Harvick's team have come unattached, and his feet have gotten very hot inside the race car. So, Steve, how critical is it that Rodney Childers and the team get those hoses reattached here on this pit stop?
Well, you see him missing right there on the right side of the car. Two issues. One, you mentioned it, his feet are going to get hot. The second issue is there are rules to how air can be inserted into the car. If you have that duct open, it has to go into a hose and it has to end in a certain position. So if those hoses are off at the end of the event, I think NASCAR will have an issue. They don't have a problem if they fall off and you try to correct it, but they're going to have to do it right now, their first opportunity to do so.
So the field getting ready to come down to pit road for their first stops of the day, and we'll go to Dave Burns.
Last night's winner, today's stage one, third place, Kyle Larson in the 42. His car was a little bit to the tight side, but he said, I'd rather be that way than loose. They'll make some adjustments as they come down here. The big question will be 2 or 4 tires. Looks like they're going to take 4. Ricky Stenhouse Jr. in the 17 stage winner said, I like the way my car drives, but I haven't been back in the pack. They're going to leave it the way it is, a 4-tire stop, Kelly.
Kyle Busch's biggest concern was that he was just a little bit loose getting off the turn, so they're going to make a small chassis adjustment. They just asked him to back up so he can get out of his tight pit box. It was 4 tires for the 18, Marty.
Yeah, and Kelly, you see Kevin Harvick's team coming to a stop. Rodney Childers has told Kevin it's going to be a little bit of a longer stop, and Robert Cheddar Smith has gone over the wall to kind of get this done, the car chief for the 4 team, and now you're going to see him go inside that right side window, reattach those hoses to make sure that everything is good. Now the key here, Steve, obviously they can't go a lap down, so they've got to put tape around those ducts, make sure those hoses get in correctly. And you see the NASCAR official, you hear Tim Fiedel, the spotter, also telling them where the pace car is and where the field is. So that's critical information, right, Steve? You got to know where they are so you don't lose that lap.
Yeah, you cannot lose a lap this early in the race, but it should be a simple fix as long as they take their time. That's what they're doing. You see no panic, great information from the spotter, get it repaired in one shot.
Little zip tie there, trying to make sure that's tight. Race off pit road, brought to you by Kroger Click List. Keselowski gaining spots. Blaney, 12 spots gained on pit road.
Grab an ice cold Coke and buckle up. You're watching the Coke Zero Sugar 400 on NBC.
And Rutledge Wood always finds the most fun in the infield. Rutledge, where are you?
Rick, I am inside the infield on top of a custom 6-door truck that my buddy Jake here from Leesburg, Florida built. He's been coming here his whole life, but in this truck with his friends for 18 years. We're up on the scaffolding on the roof. I actually was able to come by here earlier and bring my buddy Mike Tirico to show him what a great view it is. You got 1 and 2, the backstretch, part of 4, but now Mike's got an even better view. Mike, where are you, buddy?
I've got a great view. I'm up here with Steve on top of the NBC pit box. This is great. Great place to watch the start of the race and the pit stops we just saw. So, crew chief, put that hat back up. What'd you learn from the first stage?
Well, what I learned is that we wondered if handling was going to matter. And you heard Dale and Jeff call out a couple times where cars, while they looked stable maybe to you and I, they were calling them out. They could see the cars moving around. That tells me that in one single 40-lap run, the handling went away. So that final stage, that 80-lap run, the crew chiefs are going to have to make good decisions on when to come to pit road.
Blazing hot in the daytime. Obviously, the sun goes down, lights come on. Anything change from a crew chief standpoint as we get into more of the night race?
Well, that's the debate. Every time you come, you argue with your driver. Oh, the sun's going to fix it. Don't worry. When the sun goes down, it's going to be fine. And that's really what you're wondering. Even the start of this race, it was still warm. You were up here with me. It's cooled down quite a bit. But, Mike, I have to pick on you. That first lap, when they came by, your eyes grew. We're close to the
really big. It's awesome. Just that you feel the roar of the engines, and you feel it through your body. It's so great to watch. Is there no tie required in the pit box?
Tie. It's casual.
That's good.
Casual.
I'm out. Ties off, Rick.
All right, Dave.
Hey guys, they're having trouble with the 34 car of Michael McDowell that could have been a race winner today. They don't know if they can get fixed what they have going on with the toe. It is towed the wrong way, and they may have adjusted it the opposite way that they wanted to. So tough break early. We'll see if he can soldier on now or if he needs to come down for another stop.
How unfortunate for that 34 running so well. Keselowski, William Byron making up row one.
Something happened to Ty Dillon on the start.
Dillon doesn't get up to speed. He goes all the way down to the apron.
He has no fuel pressure in the 13 car. Just came on the radio. Lucky it wasn't a wreck right there when it won't accelerate in the middle of the pack like that.
And the pack works their way through 1 and 2 as Ty Dillon will try to limp around in the 13.
Keselowski leading the race right now. Remember, he put on 2 tires, Junior. You and I wonder a little bit if that's going to be right for him on a long run.
See William Byron back here say he's got a great push by Stenhouse. Well, what William Byron's going to do at a plate track? What's his moves going to be? Is he going to stay in line? Is he going to be aggressive? It's the first we've seen him in a cup car contending at a plate track.
I talked to him this morning. He said he was going to be aggressive. He said he thought that was the only way to run well is go and attack.
He's got great company behind him with Stenhouse and Chase Elliott. Those guys are going to push him hard and give him that opportunity.
He won an Xfinity race here last year, so
sure did. Got a great plate racer leading the pack, though. It's going to be hard to break the plane of the bump of that 2 car because he's going to move back and forth to try to keep that lead and keep the momentum in his car. He's going to get in front of the line that's moving forward so he can get that shove and keep the speed and RPMs up in his car. Kelly.
Guys, Jamie McMurray had to make a second trip down pit road in that 1 car. They saw a little bit of oil on the right rear tire. They didn't know where it was coming from. They brought him back down. The team is still trying to figure it out, asking Jamie to monitor his temps and all everything on the dash inside that cockpit. Marty?
Kelly, when we saw the race off pit road, we saw that Ryan Blaney was second. Unfortunately, they did not get the 12 car full, and because we're running these full stages, it has to be completely full of Sunoco fuel. So when they came back down, they put on left side tires. Also back in this pack, Kevin Harvick says he has a vibration. So a lot of cars we're going to keep an eye on in the back of the pack, Rick.
Uncontrolled tire for the 70, and around goes the 21. Paul Menard up in the air, but he keeps it down on the wheels. Paul Menard, when he got turned around, all 4 wheels looked as though they had come off the ground as he was sliding sideways.
A lot of damage to the hood. Otherwise, he's going to be able to put on tires. See a little damage to the left front there. He's going to be able to put on tires and be okay, but that damage to the hood there, that's going to be very concerning.
Hard to fix. Left front fender.
Look at the roof.
Left front lower nose, left front lower nose. I don't know if we'll get the hood on it or not. We'll give it a shot.
They're talking about what they'll have to do if they want to stay in this race. He was running 15. Take a look at what happens.
See him an outside line. Looks like he gets turned by the 48 of Jimmy Johnson. Just a little hook there on the left rear quarter panel. Spins down through the grass.
This race is going to continue to get more aggressive. As we wind into it, we're going to see more accidents, more pushing, more shoving. Stuff's going to get wild.
Going to work on the 21 with Paul Menard. Want to take a couple looks now at what just took place in the Subway Fresh Take.
Well, we talked about the intensity picking up. You see Jimmy Johnson behind Paul Menard. Jimmy's kind of in the middle of the racetrack. Right there you see the contact, but it's just hard from this view to tell if Paul came down on him or Jimmy moved up into the 21.
Jimmy didn't move up, I don't believe, but he didn't give him a lot of room. You know, Paul was right against the fence, and if Paul does move down just a little bit, which he did, he spins across the nose of 48. So just brace an accident there. ingenuity on these guys to put this hood back together is what's impressing me. My crew chief down on the box says that they can't cover those holes where the flaps are ripped away and ripped out of that hood. But they're going to try to put that hood, keep that hood back on there.
Look at that hood just flapping. The tethers.
I was going to say, thankfully tethered.
Yeah, those tethers keep that hood from going up into grandstands and getting into the fans, but it's beating the roof to death while it's doing it, just killing the splitter while it goes through this grass.
Hey, Jeff, two great things. Not only the tethers on the hood, but how about the roof flaps?
Oh,
I'm
man.
confident to say without those larger roof flaps that this new style car has run over the last few years, that car stays airborne because it gets hit in the worst situation. Those roof flaps deploy, the car sets right back on the racetrack. Those sometimes, you know, people don't notice them as much as they should, but that saved that car from going upside down.
Dave. 6 minutes, 5 crew members to repair the best they can and send the car back out. But NASCAR still has to approve it to go back on the racetrack. So the team had said, we're going to tape it down the best we can, see if they'll let us go with that. They heard you, Junior. They're not going to cover up those cow flaps. They're going to try to replace them so that car, if it does achieve liftoff, those flaps will help out with that. But this is the hard part. That's better than average tape, trying to hold down a big hood on a very fast race car.
The disadvantage right here is that they aren't going to restart with the leaders. They're coming to one to go, so they're going to be single file. They're not going to have, I'm sorry, they're not coming to one to go. Yeah, they are coming to one to go, so they're not going to be able to be in that pack. It's going to be hard for them to get up to minimum speed.
They're actually coming to green here, so he's going to have to get off pit road, try to get behind the pack. It will be very difficult to do. An amazing statistic, there are 2 drivers that have a streak of top 10 finishes at Daytona on the restrictor plate tracks. And one of them is Paul Menard. You know who the other one is? A streak of 3 top 10s in a row. Allmendinger.
Oh, really?
AJ Allmendinger and Paul Menard are the only 2 drivers that have top 10 finishes in the last 3 races.
Let's get back to action.
We're about to. Brad Keselowski, William Byron. Keselowski in the 2, Byron in the 24. Coming back into the Geico restart zone. Green flag back in the air. And in the background, you saw Paul Menard coming off of pit road.
A real tight restart here. These guys are lined up tight on the bottom and the top. Hard to tell who's going to prevail here, Jeff. See William Byron get out this lead for the first time. He's gotten a great shove from Kurt Busch. He does, it's clear. Will he be smart enough? Will he do what Keselowski does and move back and forth in front of the inside and outside line to try to keep that momentum up in his car? Or will he stay committed to that top?
Is that Tav Boyd's job? Tav Boyd, the spotter for the 24.
You know,
is he going to give him that information?
He can give him all the information he wants, but the driver's got to be able to know what to do with it. Got to have the experience to know what to do with it.
And it's a little hard as a rookie to assert yourself. Right? You have to assert yourself and say, I'm going to lead this race no matter what, and that's what Williams going to have to do.
He went to the bottom. He got a good shove from the 2. I thought the 41 was going to get in his quarter panel and battling side by side, but he went down there, got a good shove from the 2, keeps the lead.
How about riding right in the middle now? Just waiting for whichever line. Huge push. And around goes a 2. Too big of a push. He caught the 41.
The big one.
Logano's caught up in it.
Oh, my goodness.
Denny Hamlin. Austin Dillon has damage. Daniel Suarez trying to avoid. Ty Dillon sliding in. A wreck 22 of Joey Logano sitting on the apron. A wreck 2.
All the Penske cars right there. The one organization that everybody came here thinking they had the best shot to win, all 3 of their cars wiped out in this accident.
Ryan Blaney in the 12 sitting there in the grass. Saw the 2 of Brad Keselowski. A lot of damage to the 9 of Chase Elliott.
So many good cars. This wreck happened in the front of the field.
This is what Daytona's all about. Take out some contenders, and now this really is an opportunity race for somebody sitting out at 16, sitting out that top 16.
Denny Hamlin with big damage. Another fast car.
A big push we saw out of the 17 of Ricky Stenhouse Jr. Was it too big of a push?
Well, let's take a look at the replay. Let's take a look at the replay from the 9 car first.
See all the damage to Chase Elliott.
We're getting pretty aggressive here, and Ricky Ricky was pushing him and also turning down the racetrack, and that was enough to turn the two-car around. It's just so much happening right there, and they were coming up on Williams so fast that I believe Brad was sort of throttling down a little bit because he was going to run in the back of the 24. Can you see the 24 blocking here? So Brad's probably throttling down a little bit, and Stenhouse coming across the nose.
Yeah, so right here, the 17. Watch the 17 when he gets into the rear bumper. Right there, hits him in the right rear, and that's what sends him. We talked about that earlier. That's where you want to bump draft somebody. You want to bump them in the right rear. But when you do that, and the speed's wrong, and it's misaligned, and also he's turning left, then that literally just shoves the left rear bumper to the inside of the car, and it shoots the nose straight to the wall.
We've seen this generation of car. These guys, their bumpers don't line up all that great. We don't never see these guys lock bumpers like they used to, or like we see in the Xfinity Series. So anytime they make a push, they got to be careful. And that was incredibly. There's just so much happening there, as you see, running up on William Byron so fast.
Look who gets through. The 31 of Ryan Newman, the 18 of Kyle Busch. But after that, everyone fighting to find some type of a clear racetrack. The 41, Jimmy Johnson sideways, but is there contact? He was still in the gas as it came up on the high banks. The big one just happening. The Monster Energy Cup Series Coke Zero Sugar 400. Listen in to Eric Jones's radio here.
This is the only race Stenhouse could win to get himself in, so he was like doing everything. Oh, there's one live for tonight. Let's find out how many more we got. The 9, who's just in front of the points, has a ton of damage, so we can pick up some points here if we just keep getting through this whole deal. 10-4.
Already thinking about points. That playoff not far away now. Listen into the 17 radio as well of Ricky Stenhouse Jr.
Calls the nose. Get your head straight, man. That's just happened. Not a big deal. I'm sure it looks bad, but he got blocked pretty bad. Get your head right, man. Go win this next stage. 10-4.
Well, you hate to be involved in something like that if you're Ricky Stenhouse Jr. And I'm sure you feel like you were partly to blame for it, but at the same time, the race goes on. You got to get your head right, as he said, and just move on.
Yeah, I think Ricky definitely knows he was partly to blame for everything happening here, and he had a lot of guys criticizing his activities and driving style in the Daytona 500 earlier this year, and I think this was going to get them talking again. Probably going to hear this week from some of the other drivers in this wreck.
We talked about it coming on the air, Junior, is that this race matters so much to so many that they're going to do things that they otherwise wouldn't do, because there's a reward for doing it. There's also a risk. The risk is this. The reward is we've seen Ricky Stenhouse Jr. win races on plate tracks and move himself into the playoffs. And for that team, that's been really their savior. They have not run well the way you used to seeing a Roush team run. So when they come here, the pressure is high. Well, you have to perform and just roll bounds a little bit.
Even with that happening, and that you got to shake that off. I mean, this race has just opened up for a lot of guys coming in here trying to steal a win.
Absolutely. Half the field was involved in that accident. 20 cars had some type of damage when this happened. 4th of July weekend, and there's the fireworks already.
Back here in Daytona after the big one that has just happened. Denny Hamlin, the first of the drivers caught up in that to be released from the infield care center. I know you guys had a promising day ahead of you. What happened?
I'm not sure, but somebody probably wrecked somebody, and usually whoever starts it usually doesn't get wrecked, but I don't really know. The 2 was sideways in front, and yeah, 2 got wrecked, and so did everybody else. So yeah, it's unfortunate. I mean, this is the Coke Zero Sugar 400 usually is this type of race, but it usually happens much later in the night. Unfortunate for all the cars that got torn up. It's now it's a total crapshoot with it looks like most of the contenders that battle for these races are taken out, but you never know. It could be pretty exciting at the end, but you know, unfortunate for our FedEx Cares Team Rubicon Camry that we're not going to be part of it.
Thank you, Denny. Dave?
Brad Keselowski walked from the infield care center. You okay? And what did you feel hitting you in the back there?
Yeah, I'm okay. You know, Ricky was pushing. He didn't do anything wrong. It's just my fault. You know, we had a really fast Miller Lite Ford, and you know, Dave, I'm just not wrecking enough people. I need to wreck more people so they'll stop throwing bad blocks, and that's what's happening to me on the plate track. So, you know, everybody that's watching, all them drivers out there, throw another bad block. I mean, I'm just going to drive through you and wreck you. So look out, Talladega.
All right, the words of Brad Keselowski. Kelly?
Yeah, the 41 and Kurt Busch, really just innocent bystanders there. How disappointing given the speed you were showing in the 41.
I got a giggle. I mean, I thought I was in a safe spot running in the top 3, and that's where the danger zone is. It's like 3 to 12. Everybody's dicey through there, and so it's wrong place at the wrong time. The 17 and 2 looked like they got together. But I just got a giggle, like there's no safe spot. I mean, I thought we were going to get strung out and try to get to the handling portion of the run, and we just got clipped. Wrong place, wrong time. It's a helpless feeling getting clipped in front of the field like that. But it tore the drive shaft out, so there's no way we can repair anything. So bummer night for the Monster Energy Ford, but we'll come back again next week.
All right, just the nature of this racing, Dave.
Joey Logano's here. What did you see or feel and try to get through with?
It felt like the longest crash ever. I feel like I was in the middle of the whole thing, and it just looks like there's some hard, aggressive pushing up front, and you know, cars trying to get to the lead. And once one car sits sideways in front of the whole field, you can't stop when you're going 200 very quick, and when there's no gap in between all the cars on a restart like that. And we just got torn up in it. So part of it, you know, it's Daytona, it's super speedway racing. Sometimes you get through it and you can win. Sometimes you crash, and it's just part of the game. And you got to have that mindset when it starts for some reason. But unfortunately, we were on the bad 50% of it this time. Hopefully, we're on a good 50% when we go back to Talladega in the playoffs and try to get another win over there.
Joey usually does this type of racing very well. He's out early tonight, guys.
Unfortunate. You heard one driver say, well, you got to laugh. And how about Brad Keselowski being very vocal as we ride along with Bubba Wallace and see what a driver's perspective is like.
Well, still on yellow here at Daytona. What does that mean? Fantasy Live adjustments. We're still in the middle of stage 2. We just had the big accident. Now's the time. Go to your garage. See if any of your drivers were in that accident. Chances are there was someone in that accident. Make a change. Get someone else in your lineup. Try to save those fantasy points.
All right, here's Joey Meyer. Spotter for the 2. Fine line between managing and blocking. If anyone asks, one works, the other one doesn't. We just heard Brad Keselowski say, I'm going to wreck guys if they block me in a poor way. What does that even mean? How can you block somebody wrong?
Well, you know, they had such a huge run on William, you know, and he moves down in front, and the 2 has to lift so much that he basically gets spun around on the front of on the nose of the 17 car. I mean, it wasn't a very clean push from the 17. But you know, it's hard to say whether that was I've seen more aggressive blocks. I've seen blocks that are just really aggressive, and to me, I didn't initially think
is Brad blaming William Byron for that?
I think Brad thinks the block was aggressive.
That's right. Brad saying William Byron, he turned down in front of me. I had to lift. He said it wasn't Stenhouse's fault. Right. Stenhouse got in the back of me, and we talked about it. William Byron leading as a rookie, he had to insert himself. That's what you have to do. You cannot go out here and just not block and let people go. Maybe the block was too aggressive. According to Brad, it was too aggressive. But it's why, you know, when I made a comment, I said, you know, Stenhouse was partially to blame because I've been in these wrecks before. And, you know, what sometimes looks like someone just intentionally wrecked someone isn't always like that.
See the cars involved in the wreck. We've already heard from quite a few of them that came out of the infield care center. Pace car, hard left turn. And the field now approaching the Geico restart zone. 18 laps to go in stage 2.
Ricky side drafted hard as he can. Trying to hold that 24 there as long as he could, but didn't get the help before Kyle Busch was able to come up through there and push William clear.
Michael McDowell in the 34 making the high line, making it 3 wide, trying to move up to the front.
Think about the psyche of of William Byron now, right? Has he gotten a message? Hey, people thought you were blocking too hard. Will he continue?
Yes, psyche. And Ricky Stenhouse is psyche too.
Yes.
How does Ricky Stenhouse feel right now? Is he still dealing with that guilt over being involved or being part of that? If he has any guilt.
Sometimes you have to act like you feel guilty and
might not have it.
move on.
Man, he's side drafted hard. That's what you got to do. It looks aggressive, but man, it is so important. You got to side draft so close if you're on that inside line. Push that outside line up against the fence. Hold him right there until that help comes from Newman. He's moving up the track. He's running. Stenhouse is running the center of the corner, trying to get a little bit of side draft off the 18. We're working it all the time. Every opportunity you get.
And while they're doing that, William Byron, is he watching this, deciding, okay, which line do I jump in front of?
He's getting a lot of information from the spotter. You know, of course he's looking in the mirror. Really, I bet he's looking in the mirror 90% of the lap. You know, with peripheral vision, he's driving out the front, looking in the mirror and watching, seeing, listening to the spotter, and using the mirror visually to still understand what the spotter's saying, which lines are making runs. The spotter's probably telling him that the 20 car got a great run there to the 18 and is going to give the 18 a shove and things like that.
So watch right here down the back straightaway.
That 18 has no help in that top there. Stay bottom.
Great information. See, that's the kind of information. You stay on the bottom. 18, they're not organized on the outside. They're getting organized. Get up there. Too late. 18's on his quarter panel. He's going to side draft him right here in 3 and 4. Oh, my goodness.
Sideways the 18, hard into the wall. Around goes the 24 as well. William Byron sliding all the way to the inside wall. Jamie McMurray caught up as well. Kyle Larson avoiding the 18. He went way down on the apron.
Guys, I'm afraid to say it, but I think Stenhouse was involved in this one as well.
I do too.
Can't wait to see the replay so we can really dissect how this all started. I did not see these guys having an accident right there.
Denny Hamlin, before this race started yesterday, he said he expected to see a wreck fest. Well, Denny Hamlin, you were right.
As Denny is probably sitting in his bus right now watching this race.
I mean, this is crazy. We're not halfway.
And the very charismatic winner from a week ago at Chicagoland Speedway, Kyle Busch, walking away from his destroyed 18. He hit the wall hard. He comes over to talk with William Byron.
Just checking on him. Take a look on the roof cam of the 17. So he gets into the quarter panel 18. 18's trying to get down there and side draft, and the 17 of Ricky Stenhouse is not following the 24, not following his line exactly. He's also trying to side draft. So Ricky's trying to side draft 18. 18's coming down to side draft to 24. Just a couple bad decisions there. Trying to, you got to be aggressive on the side draft, and that's what happens sometimes when there's 3 or 4 guys trying to do the same thing.
So what the 17's trying to do right there is he's trying to get as close to the left rear quarter panel of the 18 to slow him down, and he gets into him. He came up the racetrack so aggressively, I almost wonder if he got tight or something. Like,
maybe.
He can see that the 18 is right next to William Byron. The 18 can't go any lower. Watch what happens right here. So see how close the 18 and the 24 are. Right here. 18, he's not going to go any lower. The 17's up the racetrack and gets into the 18. Just makes me wonder if Ricky Stenhouse Jr. didn't lose the front of the car and get up the racetrack and get into the side of him. In trying to side draft and you're close to somebody, if your car gets tight and it moves 2 feet, now you're into the left rear quarter panel and causing a wreck.
We've saw these guys have balance issues on the bottom groove. And he could have lost the front. In the dirty air of the 24, he could have lost the nose a little bit there. I think he was going up there to get a little side draft and maybe did overestimate how much front grip he had.
Ricky Stenhouse Jr. gets through. Ryan Newman, Buescher, Jimmy Johnson, and Eric Jones all getting through the mayhem. NASCAR on NBC is brought to you by Toyota. Let's go places. Credit One Bank, the credit card perfect for everyday purchases. And by Coca-Cola, the official fan refreshment of NASCAR. Let's listen in to Ricky Stenhouse Jr.'s radio once again.
Steering is still all good? Yeah, 10-4. I think I really touched him. And obviously I did, but that's how light it was.
All right, so you heard him say how light it was. So he wasn't really sure if he hit him, but let's go on board and pay attention to the tape on the steering wheel. So see, he's turning the wheel to the left, gets close to the 18, turns it further to the left. As soon as he makes contact, then he's back to the right, just saving his car. But that leads him to believe that he got tight just before he got to the 18.
Yeah, you can see him add a little more input to it just as he's getting to the 18 car, losing the front grip, getting tight. We heard guys talking about balance all weekend. There's going to be an issue. We saw guys tonight having issues on the bottom groove, and he got up in there and overestimated the front grip when he went. He was in the worst position you could be in for front grip, being behind the 24 and in the door of the 18 there.
Let's go back to the Peacock pit box and Mike Tirico, Steve Letarte.
Mike, we talked earlier after 40 laps, and it was a calm race. This is anything but a calm race now.
And now what? Because now we've seen more than half the field wreck. Now you've got to wonder, one, who's in a position to finish this thing off? And we've got a long way to go. We're not even at halfway. And second, you're looking at the points, the overall season points, because a lot of guys can change the whole specter of the back half of this season with what happens the next hour or so.
Yeah, these speedway races are about attrition. They always are. But the difference is if you're still on the racetrack with damage, every yellow, you need to be coming on pit road continually to fix your race car, because those points, as you mentioned, they mount up very quickly. We still have a stage that's going to award more points here at the end of stage 2. And what really is shocking me is, other than Martin Truex Jr., I don't see another race winner from 2018 still really in the field. So you start thinking about maybe a new winner. That will shift the point spectrum even more.
A couple of the big three involved in this. So Stenhouse, obviously, he's been right in the middle of all of this as a crew chief. Anything you can say to him, message him to keep him going forward, not backward?
I think at this point, when he's in the race car, it's very simple. It is, hey, look ahead. We have to win this race. We're going to talk about the rest when it's over, but right now it's task at hand. So it's good. Mike, hey, thanks for joining us. Great view, great race. Love having you here.
It's been incredible. Can't wait to watch the rest.
Thanks.
I notice that you loosened the tie, but you still have the time, Mike. That's a step in the right direction.
He's half committed.
He's half committed. Stenhouse Jr. and Ryan Newman, they're making up row 1 as field approaches the Geico restart zone once again. 11 laps to go in stage 2. Good run for Newman on the inside. Now some help on that outside line.
Steve just said it. There's going to be a lot of cars that you don't normally see up front. That 37 of Chris Buescher on the bottom there in third or fourth. Got Joey Gase in that 00 yellow car.
Ryan Newman running side by side with Stenhouse Jr. down the backstretch now.
Both lines pretty organized, waiting on one of them to organize and start to get that shove going. It looks like the outside line's pretty tight. Like there with McDowell and Bowman. Bowman was in that accident earlier in the contact with the door of Larson's car. And it's like they repaired that damage, and he's still up there in the battle, but I'm not sure how competitive his car is going to be the rest of the night.
Not surprised to see Michael McDowell up front. We saw him there at the beginning of the race, so he's up inside the top 3. But you've got Buescher, Bowman, Casey Kane, Joey Gase, and Brendan Gaughan, all in the top 10 right now.
Yeah, but even behind them, you got Trevor Bayne, a Daytona 500 winner from several years ago. Kennington, you had Ty Dillon. We saw he had trouble earlier, but he's back in the game. So the door's open. We talked about it at the start of the race. Like, somebody's going to have a chance to take advantage. And I think the names that now have a chance have changed. We were talking about Denny Hamlin, who hadn't won a race yet. Now we're talking about somebody that maybe has never won a race in their career. Kelly.
Outside the infield care center with Kyle Busch. You made it through the first one. You got turned in the second one. What was your take on that wreck?
I don't know. Just, you know, disappointing to get crashed out by the same guy that caused the first crash. But, you know, our interstate batteries Camry showed some good speed. We showed some good patience there in that first stage. We were able to come home second, at least grab some points there. But, man, I don't know. You always come to Daytona waiting to crash and trying to figure out when and where and just hope that you can walk away from it. So that's really frustrating and disappointing to have to race these races like that, just on the fence, on the line of when are you going to wreck, you know. But we go on. We go next week, I guess.
Thank you, Kyle. Dave?
Kelly, William Byron was the leader, and William, you drivers have pretty much taught us the lead is the safest place to be. What happened there?
Yeah, just the 17 car just kind of, I guess, hooked 18 into me. Seemed like he was being really aggressive, and the second time we've kind of been on the wrong end of something with him. So unfortunate for us, but we had a good race going. We needed to really have a really good day of the points position we're in, but overall just part of speedway racing, I guess. But just hate to be on that side of it, but at least we led some laps, so that was good.
Rick, he was doing everything he was supposed to do.
Yeah, interesting comment out of Kyle Busch. He said you just want to be able to walk away. Well, he was involved in an accident where he couldn't walk away. He broke his leg and ankle in an Xfinity Series race here. That same year, he went on to win the championship.
See, this bottom line's disappeared pretty much as everybody's sort of committed to the top, closing in on the finish of the stage. This is right around the time where it got busy last time. With this many cars out of the race, I'm not sure exactly what kind of battle we're going to have developed for all these stage points. Will these guys that are getting, you know, these stage points for the first time in a rare moment during the season be settling for their position? Interesting to see if any of them pull out.
Does it open the door for a driver like we saw just now, Jimmie Johnson? It's amazing that you have to say that, but there's a lot of experience there as far as winning at this racetrack.
Let's take a look at Jimmie Johnson. This is something I saw in this replay from the first wreck. That's how good this guy is. So let's watch him as he tries to navigate getting through this. Going down on the flat, going a little too fast. Turns sideways, straightens it out in the bank. Here he goes on around the corner. He ain't done dirt tracking yet. Gonna get a little more because he's Jimmie Johnson. That's the kind of driver he is. What an amazing save by him. 2 saves, really. And he's still in this race. And if he wins tonight, you can look back at this as a pretty incredible moment. Dodging the bullet.
We've been seeing that for years out of Jimmie Johnson. Normally it's car control to go to victory lane and win championships. But even on a down year, I think that just proves, Dale, how Jimmie Johnson, he's engaged. He is not happy about the performance this year, but he's trying to spin it to a positive light, lead this race team. And you have to look at him, as you mentioned, Rick, surprising to look at Daytona being a great opportunity or maybe his only opportunity, but he has to start thinking that as the field dwindles.
5 to go. In stage 2, Stenhouse Jr. still out front. McDowell running second.
All these guys right here, you talk about Jimmie Johnson getting confident because the field's thinned out. All these guys right here got a smile on their face. I might win this race tonight. So Jimmie, along with everybody in this little pack, they look at this as a, you know, hey, you know, the competition's down. I can take all these guys. So should be pretty interesting to see who pulls us out. I got to say that Jimmie's got to be one of the favorites with the speed they've had this weekend, but still anybody's race. Stenhouse still up there in the lead.
What's going to be so difficult, though, Junior, the way that you're going to have to race now, it's completely changed. Like, you were learning what your car would do and what it couldn't do when there were 40 cars on the racetrack. Well, there's, what, 12 cars in this lead pack? So you're not going to get the runs the way you were getting them before. They're not going to stall lanes out the way they stalled them out before. It's going to take a completely different approach to get a stage win or get the win for this race. See Jimmie Johnson make a hard turn to the left.
Hey, Jeff, we keep talking about Jimmie Johnson. How about his teammate? Dale, your old car, the 88, running third. This has to be the biggest opportunity for Alex Bowman. I know he has a little damage, but I don't think that's going to hurt this car's speed a lot. He's easily running in the third position. This is it. This is green light for that young man to get his first win.
Absolutely. The field's thinned out. It's a great opportunity for him to have an amazing finish or opportunity to win even. And he had a great car here in February and actually ran really well with the car until he was taken out in a late wreck. Didn't get a lot of help in the draft because nobody really knew what kind of plate racer he was and whether to, you know, you got to trust these guys. If you don't know what a guy's going to do or if he's going to make the right move or not, you're not going to try to help him that much. And maybe he's gained a little bit of respect of his peers over the last 6 months. We got a little bit of low line development as we're coming down to the end of this stage.
Yeah, Trevor Bayne. Think about Trevor Bayne. You know, he's got a shot. Remember, he got kicked out of his seat. He won the Daytona 500 on top of the world, and a few years later, he gets kicked out. Says, man, you're not getting it done. We need to try something different. Now he has a shot to put himself in position to win this race. And on the outside of him, one of your other teammates, Casey Kane, another guy that's trying to reprove and rebrand himself. He was at Hendrick Motorsports. It didn't work out. He got moved along, and now he's got a shot.
Want to listen in to the 34 radio of Michael McDowell.
495's got damage too, so I think if Ricky and I stay in line here, we'll be fine.
You know how it is, though. If they jump down and they get to you, he's going to jump down. So stay with him right now.
Steve Barkdahl, the spotter there for Michael McDowell. Heard him say, you know how he is. He'll jump down there and block if they go down. So he wants to figure out, do you stay with the 17 or do you try to make a pass?
He's going to stay right there where he's at. He's going to try to get to the end of this race, have a shot to win.
Final lap of stage 2, and now they're trying to go too wide. Ty Dillon in the 13 thinks otherwise. He gets back in line. Trevor Bayne still trying something in the 6.
Let's go, guys. Move around, make something happen.
Will anyone try to get by Ricky Stenhouse Jr. as they work their way through 3 and 4, coming to the green-white checkered flag to end stage 2, and it looks as though it's going to be Ricky Stenhouse Jr. sweeping the first 2 stages. Before tonight, Roush Fenway has never won a stage, and now already 2.
And you saw the difference between the end of the first stage and the end of the second stage, how much more aggressive that first stage end was. And Junior, that's just less cars. There's less opportunity. It's just so much harder with this few cars on the racetrack.
I think for Ricky to save some face, he's going to have to win these 2 stages and the race.
Well, we mentioned at the top of the show, aggressive, crazy. That pretty much sums up Ricky Stenhouse Jr. right now. He has been aggressive and crazy out there on the racetrack.
Pit stops just finishing up at Daytona International Speedway. Second place in that stage, Michael McDowell, his best stage finish of the year. No adjustments to the car, 4 Goodyear tires and Sunoco fuel. For Ricky Stenhouse Jr., they take a long time on pit road to massage that right front fender and try to make it perfect for the remainder of the race. Kelly?
We also saw the 88 there of Alex Bowman. He's on the splitter a little bit, taking off. They didn't want to waste any time on pit road fixing damage. 4 Goodyear tires, Sunoco fuel for Alex.
A very long pit stop for the 17.
Rick, I'm shocked. I love what the 17 right here is doing. There are only 10, 12, 15 cars that are in this race. We just saw the Ricky Stenhouse Jr. in the 17 basically dominate that stage finish. No one could pull out, yet Brian Patty is taking the time to make his car better. I'm a little shocked. I thought these other crew chiefs, there's 80 laps to go. This race is only half over. Stop, massage their cars. Obviously, none of them had the speed to make a run on the 17. Junior, don't you think if you were in there, you'd be yelling at me, hey, let's take the time now. This car could be better.
Yeah, I'd probably want to do all the, work on the car I could early and not have to worry about it later in the race. But, that's a tough decision to make.
Let's talk to the 17.
Hey, Ricky, it's Burton. You got time to talk?
Yeah, I got you, Jeff.
Well, man, it's been crazy out there. Tell us what's going on.
It's been crazy, partly due to a few of my issues. So that first one, I just thought us and the 2 were going to have a run on the 24 to the inside. And then 2 had to check up really late into 3 there. Then the other one, I just tried to side draft the 18 at the wrong place and got sucked into him and turned him around. So it's crazy here. It's, trying to get into the playoffs, gaining points, trying to put ourselves in positions for wins. So we got a really fast fifth, third, fourth, and hey, we tore up all our other Ford teammates. That was didn't go as planned. So we're going to have to do it with the teammates that we got left out here.
Well, bud, we appreciate you taking some time. Good luck the rest of the evening.
Thank you.
Almost a somber driver interview there, even though he won the first 2 stages.
Gladiator.
train, wrecking ball. He's been everything tonight on the racetrack, Ricky Stenhouse Jr., but he has won 2 stages, and he's got the possibility, as he mentioned, to make it into the playoffs. He's one of the best cars, if not maybe the best car that's still out on the racetrack right now. Right.
Rick, things are heating up online as well. Social media, Zach the World, I know, said, I don't know how many friends we're going to have, was just said on Ricky Stenhouse Jr.'s radio. That's an easy question to answer. Plus, the Wood brothers throwing shade. Stenhouse going to win this race tonight one way or another. Things aren't just hot on the track down here, Rick. Social media too, buddy.
Everyone letting them know. Everybody on social media has an opinion. They'll give it.
Wood Brothers Racing social media is pretty awesome. They have some funny stuff on there all the time. Great follow.
They are great.
How about the 21, Paul Menard? We saw that car get up and all 4 off the ground, all 4 wheels off the ground. The 88 of Alex Bowman comes back onto pit road. It looks like they'll do a little massaging, maybe a little more fuel before he goes back out.
Who's going to take advantage? It's out there. The opportunity to make your year is right now. We've seen those big teams and drivers get knocked out. Who's going to step up? I mean, now is your chance.
There's a weird balance of cars up there. There's a weird balance of cars up there. There's guys that are willing to take that chance, and there's guys that are just trying to survive the night. So it's hard to tell who's going to be the most aggressive. Here's the playoff standings right now. Wood just barely in.
Yeah, the points definitely are going to shake up a little bit. Stenhouse Jr., he's outside the top 16.
Yeah, but he's coming.
Oh, he's going to be coming. We know that.
Up.
And this has, this showing Ty Dillon as leader. So it shows him in as winning a race because he's leading the race. So, you go back here, look at Eric Jones and Stenhouse and Elliott, Bowman. I mean, it's all tight.
Dave.
Rick, how about Truex? The first big one he missed because he had an uncontrolled tire penalty and was in the back and was guided through it. The second time, they had decided to lay back and missed the second big one. They've just been discussing it about this run, and here's the radio.
A little worried about this whole thing going green, And there's so few cars, I don't know. That's why I say it, if it gets single file, everybody's going to stay there and ride. It's going to go green. You don't want to lose the lead pack. We're going to have a chance. Yeah, 10-4. I think we stick up in there for a bit. Hopefully it strings out.
So laid back twice and made it, staying up in it for now.
Never won. He's never won at a restrictor plate track.
He hasn't, but you can take more risks now. There's less cars. There's less risk of losing so many spots. So you can be more aggressive now to pull out, even if you're by yourself.
Ty Dillon and Clint Boyer making up row 1 now as they come back into the tri-oval. Stage 3 underway. And right away, we saw the 17 of Ricky Stenhouse Jr. jump out of line.
And it's hard to believe that Clint Boyer, that 14 car on the bottom with that nose damage, it's hard to believe that's who you're going to want to lead a line. You would think that he's going to be better following somebody.
Come on up through there pretty good.
Yeah, he did.
Got a great run down the back straightaway. He's got pretty decent help behind him. Good, tight, clean help. Parker.
Guys, just under this caution, Clint Boyer came across radio and said, I cannot lead, I have to follow. We have too much damage, we're way too slow. And then they took the track position. It looks pretty good to me with all that damage.
Well, we'll see if he can stay there. The key is who's behind him. If your cars behind you aren't real fast, then you might can stay up there. But if once those quality of cars, if you get really quick cars behind you, it's much more difficult.
He's got Casey Kane in the 95 behind him right now. And then Michael McDowell, who we've continued to say over and over, is maybe outperforming what everyone thought he was going to be able to do. In the 34, currently running third again. We've seen him in the top 3 a lot already tonight.
He was in top 5 finish here in this race last year. And he's got 2 top 5s in a row this track. So
we heard on the radio, the 78 of Martin Truex Jr., they said, well, maybe, just kind of feel it out, see how it goes, and then drop to the back if you have to. Well, there's no drop into the back right now. He's trying to get into the top 5.
For once, that outside line's not working as well, and he started in that inside line. He's just taking advantage of it as it's moving forward.
Hey guys, and shame on me. I mentioned that I thought the 78 was the only winner from this year that had a car that could win the race. And here Clint Boyer's proving me wrong, leading with all that damage.
I see one guy that might save the night, and that's the 6 car, Trevor Bayne. He's making some moves. He ain't going to sit here and ride.
And McDowell.
McDowell moves to the outside of Casey Kane, tries to get that outside line working, and Clint Boyer moves up to block. Down to the bottom of the racetrack goes McDowell, trying to take the lead away.
He's got help. Yeah, he's got great help from Trevor Bayne. Trevor is going to move around. He's going to try to make something happen. He started all that back in turn 1, or entering turn 1. All that began. That whole run was organized there.
Michael McDowell leading at Daytona.
Remember, Michael McDowell, that car he's driving, Roush Fenway built that car, prepared it. It's got a Roush car behind him. Big block by Trevor Bayne. Now he's trying to get the 95 from going underneath. He could not do it. Casey Kane with a big run.
And he blocks the 95. So Michael McDowell stays in front of the momentum. Up to third now, Martin Truex Jr.
This is the time that I'm like...
cars on the bottom running with you. You in the 95, 78.
That Harvick, where did he come from? He was
on
red.
the bottom, the 17 is 4 now, so we know how strong he is. We're going to watch that 95 now. He's the bottom right now, nothing on the outside. 78's trying to push that 95. Check that inside. No run right now. 5 of you guys are separated in the field right now. 5 half back. No run. 78's coming to him. Still half back on you. 95's going back to the 78. Still in line. Don't be afraid to take just a kick off that bottom. Get in the corner. Still in line. Gonna try to, there you go, protect the bottom. About the first 12 are in line, but they all got pretty tight back there, so we just gotta be careful here. Keep protecting that 95 behind you.
The voice you're hearing is Steve Barkdahl, the spotter.
Move you up in front of him. Let him push us for a while. Still 95, 1 back. He's 1 ahead of the 77 or 17. Bottom still got the run. 95 still with you.
Is that outside line?
Yes, 17 stalled out over the 78.
Let's listen to him give that information on that outside line.
Outside just a little bit. Now back down. 17's getting a little run. Get ready to move up. Get that run from him. Get that push from him. Then you go back down once you feel it.
I got to get the chance to go down.
17 in line with you. 95 on the bottom. Everybody 2 by 2. We know that 17 is super strong here. With you now, you're clear. Bottom does not have a run. Just you and that 17. He's probably going to dive on you. Just watch him. In line right now. First 4 in line. 95 falling back on the bottom. That's it. First 5 are single here.
That's great information from the spotter. So the spotter saw that outside line foreman. He let his driver know when to move up, when it was okay to move up and not throw a crazy block. It was a good early move, so that outside line could prepare for it. Really smart information. Interesting to see if Stenhouse is going to be as loyal to McDowell as McDowell was to him earlier in the race.
Well, I think that's what makes it very difficult, is that we know Stenhouse Jr. wants to lead, and we've seen how aggressive he is. So running this top opens the door to just turn left and have Kevin Harvick, who I don't know where he came from. I thought he was done, to have him go with you and make a run. Marty, you got something on Kevin?
Absolutely, Jeff. They got the free pass on the last caution. The damage not that bad. And he said something interesting to Rodney Childers. He said with less cars in the race, handling is going to be less of an issue. Think speed. So, Steve, you were begging for a crew chief to come down pit road and adjust on their car. Rodney Childers did that. Kevin Harvick said, I still think we have the speed to win this race.
Yeah, Marty, I love that call. I mean, those are the types of decisions that prove why the 4 and Rodney Childers and Kevin Harvick, that combination wins so many races. They are just continuing to work on their race car. Remember, there's still 65 laps to go. There's at least another pit stop that may or may not come under green flag conditions. We see how quickly both the 4 and the 17 recovered. I think these crew chiefs have to change their mindset. It is not a 40-car field. It's a much smaller field with still a lot of racing left.
Well, Junior, you and I looked at each other when we saw the 4-car. We're like, where did he come from? Well, this is why we were wondering. This was the first wreck as we ride along with Kevin Harvick. Look at this damage. I mean, he hits the wall hard, gets run into, off the banking, damages the splitter. Listen to the car. I mean, it's damaged, and here he is running third with a chance to win the race.
Hey, Junior, as I look at this front pack, is there an advantage to the 2 Hendrick cars having a teammate? Does a teammate become more important in a smaller group?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, those guys are talking all week leading up to this race about how they can work together and how they can be stronger helping each other. So, you know, if you're wanting to make a move, you got a teammate that's going to be able to be loyal to go with you.
Stage 1 winner, Ricky Stenhouse Jr. Stage 2 winner, Ricky Stenhouse Jr. The final stage, can he win the Monster Energy Cup Series race from Daytona? Amazing 2 weeks already as NBC comes back to cover the races for the Monster Energy Cup Series. Well, it's going to continue next week. Night race at Kentucky next Saturday night, 7:30 Eastern.
Man, I want to go downstairs here and talk to my crew chief, Steve Letarte. 9 laps to go. I don't care if I come down pit road. I can drive this thing to the front. How come you didn't bring me down pit road to make me better?
Man, I think even with a small pack like this, you don't want to give up track position. You got to keep it towards the front. This is really the most frustrating time for a crew chief. You get inside about 20 laps to go to a restricted plate track, and we truly become fans as well. We're coaching our driver on, trying to cheerlead him in the spotter. But as far as duties in the race, mine ended about 15 or 20 laps ago. Now I'm just a fan.
Very true.
Well,
That's how it always went.
The next big decision is what lane is Kasey Kahne going to pick. So he's the leader of the race. He's going to be able to pick his lane. And I think what he's got to decide is 2 things. Number 1, who does he think is going to push him the best? And number 2, which lane is going to be better, the bottom or the top? And this is going to be a tough decision for Kasey Kahne.
And we've seen these drivers. They'll signal to the driver behind them when to go. All right, if you're outside lane, everybody can see you. Right. Everybody can see you signaling when you're going to throttle up. So if you're on the inside line, you're hiding that from whoever is on the outside line. So far tonight, that inside line has prevailed. And he can signal to the guy behind him, get that push. Nobody else in the outside line sees it. They get the jump. That's what I'd do.
And what makes it so frustrating is, you know, the option the leader or anyone on the front row has to take the lead can be back in row 2, row 3, row 4. So many times we've seen, you know, the push. It's not the front row, not even the front 2 cars. It can be all the way back as we see the 48 of Jimmie Johnson. Rick, you mentioned it. He came down, had a penalty, rode it around, finally got his lap back, Dave. Now he's on pit road getting 4 tires.
And Steve, I mentioned the 2 battery changes earlier. It was an amperage thing that Jimmy was reporting, and you see he gets a chassis adjustment there as well. They just wanted to be safe. The first time it was kind of low. The second time it was not as low, but Chad Knaus made the decision to say, we need to keep that thing running regardless. So they've changed the battery twice. Now they get the free pass. Jimmie Johnson is back in the game.
Yeah, so obviously an electrical issue for Jimmie Johnson. What you have to ask yourself, Dave, you know, if it gets low enough on volts, it can start to hurt the power, and that's the last thing this 48 needs, trying to come back through the field, Marty. They're going to have all the power available to that Chevrolet.
Well, Steve, we always talk about the driver, but what about the owner? Bob Levine is a home builder from Texas with a passion for racing. 8 years ago, he started this race team out of his own money and has funded it from his own money for years. 165 races later, they still have yet to get to victory lane. Imagine what he's going through right now. I asked him a moment ago, you a little nervous? He said, what do you think? So, Junior, you've been in this position before. You're sitting here trying to get that first ever win as an organization. A lot of nerves going on in this 95 pit.
Absolutely. I mean, this is why they start this team, to go to victory lane. And they've been struggling to find victory lane for years. There's a very low budget team. They started this team to make a positive impact in the sport and their community. I mean, these are great people. Could be an incredibly important night for them to go to victory lane.
And this is why they hired Kasey Kahne. When he became available, they wanted a big name driver, and they got Kasey Kahne.
Guys, it's been an incredible night already. Let's catch everyone up on what's happened.
Well, starting out, Ricky Stenhouse Jr., he's been in the heat of the battle all night, good and bad. Won stage 1, won stage 2. speed for Ricky Stenhouse Jr. Not all of it's been good, though, Junior.
That's right. We're going to see the first accident. Stenhouse gets in the back of the 2 car. William Byron throwing the block. Stenhouse turns left and kind of goes across the back of the bumper of the 2, turns him around a little bit. This is the second accident where Stenhouse is getting a little crazy with the side draft. He gets into the back of the side of the 18 car.
Martin Truex Jr., he decided, hey, I'm done with this. Too much craziness. I don't want to be in the middle of this. But then it became time to go get that trophy, and he just drove his car to the front and drug that entire bottom line with him. Great drive back to the front by Martin Truex Jr.
I tell you what, guys, the one thing we didn't see was the wild ride that the 17 and 42 had also, because when the 42 went spinning around, the 17 got caught up in that.
Nowhere to go there. He doesn't know he has a left rear tire going down. And didn't really suffer a lot of damage. They did a good job repairing this car and giving him a shot until the left rear tire blew up.
All right, so Kasey Kahne's made his choice. He's decided he's going to go to the top. He's got Martin Truex behind him. I'm sorry, he's got Alex Bowman behind him with a little bit of damage.
Yeah.
Martin Truex Jr. is on the bottom lane. Martin's car pretty much unscathed, maybe the only one, that in the Toyota car, the only one that doesn't have damage. I don't know about this pick, but as a driver, you got to take your best choice, and you just got to stick with it. Go with the guy you think's going to push you the best.
Yeah, I just worry that he's showing his hand, literally, when he gives the signal, which I expect most drivers will. When he gives a signal to Bowman behind him, he's basically giving the signal to Kevin Harvick as well.
And guys, listen, you talked about all the guys that need a win. How about the big 3 lined up again, 2 of them on the inside row?
Can they get another win? Kasey Kahne, the control car in the 95, and they're all coming up to speed together, nose to tail. The top 14 cars.
I don't know if that outside line is going to do it for Kasey.
Kevin Harvick on the bottom. Kasey Kahne up high. Under 6 laps to go. Down the backstretch they go again.
Harvick's still there, and he's got the momentum. 78's going to side draft the corner of the 95. Inevitably, the 95 is hanging tight on the right rear corner here of Harvick on quarter exit, but Truex going to push him through here, I believe.
He needs Bowman to get behind him. The 95 does. Truex not there. Harvick to the lead.
5 to go.
And now Harvick will try to block whichever line has momentum. Truex has cleared the pack as well.
Wow,
we saw how strong Martin Truex Jr.'s car was earlier.
I couldn't believe how close Truex got to his bumper right there. He falls back a little bit.
Look at that run the 14 had, pushing to 78.
Truex ain't going to take it. Wow.
He's just going to shove the 4 a little bit farther forward.
I wonder if he didn't take it because of his teammate, or the teammate to the 4 cars behind him.
Into the wall again. This time Eric Almirola caught up. The 00 of Joey Gase and the 34, who had a great run tonight, gets caught up in it, Michael McDowell.
Oh, Jimmy Johnson as well.
The 48 of Jimmy Johnson just got back on the lead lap. Not a lot of damage to the 48, though.
We're on your way, fellas.
And a wheel rolling down the racetrack.
That thing still has the hub and everything in it. Broke off from the axle, broke off from the housing, looks like.
See the smoke on the right front of the 48.
There you see, that's where the wheel was on Eric's car.
Almirola
completely ripped it off of the housing. This must have been heavy contact to do that.
Michael McDowell trying to climb out of the 34.
You feel bad for Michael McDowell.
Wheel still going.
Michael McDowell had such a good night going, led some of this.
And now the flames from under the hood. What a great night Michael McDowell had up until that point.
Hey, they knew they were here. I can promise you that. He had a shot, win this race, showed he could run up front.
They'll put the fire out under the 34. They'll have to clean up these cars from the grass, which could take some time. I'd be surprised if they don't red flag this race.
So yeah,
the laps don't keep clipping off.
Moving his hand back and forth, like, not that he's hurt, but sometimes, you know, you're holding that wheel and you just need to stretch your hand out a little bit. So here they are, 3 wide, 4 wide.
Yeah, the 4 wide just hooked him.
Yeah. Just not enough. This track is just not wide enough for 4 wide. At Talladega, you can make it work. It's a little bit wider, but this racetrack is just not as wide as Talladega.
Here's another look at it. 00's already hooked. Turned down the corner. Joey Gase, he's just trying to gather it up. Nowhere for those guys to go.
Jimmy Johnson's like, oh, I've seen this before.
That heavy impact with McDowell sandwiching Eric in the wall. Wow, what a hit. Just shears that.
The wheel comes off, and then you see the 48 sliding down into the grass. The wheel actually comes back and hits the 10 and rolls over the top of it and then keeps going down the racetrack.
That hurts.
Look at this.
Yeah, I see
the wheel comes back, runs over the top of the 10 and keeps going.
Those hurt. When you're the outside car and the cars just drive you into the wall, those are the ones that, to me, just knock the breath out of you. It just hurts. I mean, it's just, those are painful wrecks.
Remember, Eric Almirola broke his back at Kansas when he was involved in a big accident. We saw him climb out of the 10. Again, the 9th caution at Daytona. Only 3 to go here. Cleanup continuing, and it looks like we'll go overtime again at Daytona. We have seen a few overtimes at this racetrack. We've seen some incredible battles that have taken place on the racetrack tonight as well.
Well, before this caution came out, we saw Martin Truex Jr. with a big run. Look at Clint Bowyer. He gets to the 78. That air pushes the 78 back out. Now Martin Truex has a huge run, but he doesn't take it. He doesn't pull up beside the 4 car. He just runs into the back of the 4 to move him forward. It's an interesting decision. Watch what happens. You can see Kevin Harvick's eyes. He's like, what's he going to do? What's he going to do? Truex just stays with him. With that few laps left, that's a tough decision not to make that move.
I know. Will that be the decision Martin regrets? That was his shot, maybe. But he's got Clint Bowyer behind him, so Clint's not going to help him go past Clint's teammate. So that's a tough situation that Martin was in.
Now the situation on the restart, Harvick, I'm sure, is going to want Bowyer behind him, pushing him, because those teammates will work together. Marty.
Rick, tonight it's the 9 lives of Kevin Harvick. Let's see the wreck early on, Rodney. Then you have the bumper cover and everything. And here you are with overtime about to start, and you're in the lead. Are you as surprised as anyone?
Well, it's just how things work at these speedway races. You don't ever know what's going to happen. You just got to keep fighting all weekend long. But, you know, everybody at Stewart Haas Racing built us a great car. I feel like the car is still just as fast as it was at the beginning of the race. And Doug Yates is texting me every 2 seconds trying to tell us what to do here. So would really like to get a restrictor plate win. You know, as a 4 team, we've been fast at all of them for 4.5 years now and hadn't been able to get one. So we're going to try like hell.
How do you do things differently on this restart, maybe? Because I know that's been a topic Doug's been texting you about.
Well, I don't know. I mean, you just gotta get after it and try to make something happen. That 78 car has been fast. I think everybody knows that. But we got our teammate behind us to push, and hopefully it'll work out.
Kevin Harvick, Kelly, has been all over this field tonight, but right now he's in the lead.
Yes.
Yeah, but he'll be lined up next to the 78 of Martin Truex Jr. Cole Pearn is the crew chief. You guys are staring down your first ever restrictor plate race win. What would you like to see out of Martin in this overtime?
Hopefully we can just get a good clean start. I mean, our car seems to have really good speed, feel pretty good about it, so who knows? I mean, it's, you know, so much of it's getting up speed and what lane stays together better, so hopefully it'll work out, who knows?
How have you guys managed to survive this long? We've seen you drop back, then you had the speed to catch right back up. What's the night been like?
Yeah, we've, you know, wanted to stay out of trouble all night, and we managed to do that, and, you know, here we're sitting having a shot at it, which is pretty unfamiliar for us, so who knows? We'll take whatever we can get here.
All right, we're looking forward to it. Rick?
It's been amazing. And so now you see them line up 2 by 2, and Kevin Harvick has chosen the inside line, which means his teammate will be right behind him with Clint Bowyer. Let's listen into the 4 radio.
There's something to think about here. 78 speed 2, 14 speed 3, and the 20 speed 4. So if you're on the bottom, the 14 will be with you. If you're on the top, the 20 will be with you. That's a no-brainer. I'm going with the 14.
There you go. Confidence, right? I love that. I made my decision right now. Didn't even have to think about it. That was a great interview for Rodney Childers, talking about Doug Yates calling him, texting him, telling him what to do. Yates Racing, Robert Yates, his dad, man, this is it. Plate racing, they love it, and they just have a passion for it. And you know Doug Yates wants to win this race. Plate racing means so much to that company and that family.
All right, Jeff Jr., take a look at this. Top 3, well, they account for 10 wins already this season. The rest of the top 10 haven't won yet.
You talk about Eric Jones. He snuck up in there and had a quiet but effective afternoon. Bain, man, you know, he's trying to prove himself, having lost some races this year. Casey Kane, we talked about him. He gave up that inside line and maybe chose wrongly on that restart. Can he rebound and maybe get his team to victory lane tonight?
Yeah, and Alex Bowman, Hendrick Motorsports driver, see Ty Dillon on the bottom of the racetrack, maybe trying to keep fuel to the fuel injection.
He's had his fuel issues, so he's moving down pit road here.
It's overtime, presented by Credit One Bank. Harvick, Truex, up through the gears.
Everybody's pushing. That outside line looking a little better right now, but we got to go down in the turn here, and the shorter distance is on the bottom. They're not together, though. Truex has got the help. Eric Jones, look at Eric Jones doing such a great job. Pushing Martin Truex Jr. in the lead, and they come apart, but Truex is clear.
But Harvick has no help. There's nobody on the bottom to help Harvick. Now the 95 is pushing Eric Jones. Now he clears Harvick.
The run is coming from the top.
In the 95, trying to move up toward the front as well. He's going to push the 20. The 78 of Martin Truex Jr. out front. Coming out of turn 4. Once they get the white flag, the next flag will call it the 14 around. Bowyer into the wall. The caution comes out just before they get to the start-finish line.
Some big impacts.
Bain caught up, as is Bubba Wallace. Brendan Gaughan also in this. The 48 of Jimmy Johnson, Trevor Bain. A lot of damage to Jimmy Johnson's car. Ross Chastain, major damage to the 15. Overtime rules. You have to get back to take the white flag for it to be a complete race. Otherwise, they'll try again. This time the caution came out just before Martin Truex Jr. got to the finish line. And we see Jimmy Johnson climbing out of the window. So they will try overtime one more time. You see Trevor Bain. He's won at this racetrack before, as you mentioned, trying to prove himself again. Clint Bowyer got sideways in the tri-oval, hit the wall hard.
Let's take a look at the replay, get an idea how this all started. There you see Clint Bowyer and Bubba Wallace. Clint's on the inside. Bubba's got a little tire rub there, but he's shoving and he just turns, pushing so hard. And Clint was moving around on the front bumper. And it hooked him into the wall. That's just real aggressive bunt drafting. Here's from the 43 roof camp. And he just turned him sideways there, hooked him bad. That's just really aggressive pushing. Really aggressive bump drafting, which is what's going to happen at the end of these races.
Yeah, they got misaligned. When they got misaligned, here's Kevin Harvick.
I'll help you. Keep digging here. There you go. Keep coming, keep coming, keep coming, keep coming.
Two cars turned in front of Kevin Harvick. Good to see Clint Bowyer able to run. It was a big impact.
Yes.
Clint hit really hard.
Sure did.
Harvick acknowledging the crowd as well. Two teammates are going to talk about it.
Two teammates, two great friends right there. Trying to figure out how that started and how that happened. You know they're talking about it.
Normally they would take a ride in the ambulance back to the infield care center. They didn't want to wait around for that. They decided they would take the walk themselves. And we're going to have another overtime. Still up front, Truex Jr. and Eric Jones. Now they won't have teammates to help them because they'll be on the front row together.
So we watch another replay of this, and Junior, you're right. It's that time of the race. You're going to push, and right there you see Bubba's pushing the 14, and the 14 moved to the left, and when he did, now he's pushing him on the extreme right rear of the bumper, and just like the wreck we saw earlier in the race, it just turns the car directly head on into the wall. And you know, when you're pushing somebody, how you're pushing them is so important. You have to have everybody has got to be lined up, and the most effective way is on that right rear, but if you get misaligned just a touch, boom, that's what happens. It just yanks it to the right. Trevor Bayne with a big hit too.
Yeah, remember these cars going over 180 miles an hour. Hard impact into the wall.
Yeah, guys, you mentioned this is how it starts. The 14 gets turned, big impact. But look at Jimmie Johnson come in. He's at the top of the screen. He hits the wall. Then he's into Clint Bowyer, and he starts to turn left. He's going to basically come right at me. We talked about the pit box being in the center of the action. Well, this is another shot for the 48. And at this point, he's just along for the ride. But you see why NASCAR doesn't use these last 3 pit stalls anymore. This is basically pit stall 2. I'm 1 pit stall to his left on the NBC pit box. So you see, you see how close it is. You see now how NASCAR makes the decision what pit stalls are no longer used for pit crews.
And people may be wondering why Jimmie Johnson wasn't on the brakes. Well, he was, but when cars get damaged that badly, it rips things apart, and the brakes don't work anymore. There's times you just don't have any brakes whatsoever.
And you see fluid down. That was on the racetrack as well. So if Jimmie Johnson even was trying to get on the brakes, there was probably fluid down on the track in front of him.
Let's get a replay here with the roof of Ricky Stenhouse's car. He's mixed up in this one. He's slowing down. A lot of debris. This car is sliding everywhere, nowhere for him to go. Can't get the car slowed down. You're going very fast. So that's one thing going against you. And plus, you talked about the fluids and debris on the racetrack. You lock up the front tires and drives you right into that wreck.
Check this out right here. These guys knew what they were doing. Look what that says. Checkers and Wreckers on the back of the wrecker. They knew what was coming, didn't they, Junior?
He's working tonight.
Haven't got to the checkers yet, but we will. 10th caution, now a red flag as the field, what's left of it, parked on the backstretch. Getting ready for the second overtime of the Monster Energy Cup Series Coke Zero Sugar 400 from Daytona International Speedway. Want to listen into a little radio from the 78 and the 20 team.
20 did awesome there, man. They sure did. Yards, we had it about 100 yards. It's all good. We're going to do it again here.
Well, damn. It's exciting. I can tell you that, Jones. We always make it exciting.
Yeah, it's been a good super speedway race at this point.
So they're complimenting Eric Jones there as far as pushing the 78, getting him out front, and how close they were to getting that white flag.
Oh, that white flag means Martin Truex Jr. is a winner, but he didn't make it. So now he has a tough choice to make because he doesn't have Eric Jones behind him now. The guy that he said did such a great job, he's going to have to take a pick. He's got Chris Buescher. Is a guy he could pick. I don't know. I don't know what his pick will be, or Casey Kane.
Usually this is how it works. So if you're the leader and you're going to hand signal the car behind you, you signal for him to throttle up, not you. And so when he throttles up, that is an assured bump draft. Right. That's going to happen. And as soon as you wave for him to throttle, then you throttle like a split second later. That guarantees you'll lock bumpers, and then he can shove you out in the lead. And so to give that signal, I want to be on the inside and not show my hand to the guys if I'm in the outside line.
And the control car does that first, which now that's Martin Truex Jr., whichever lane he chooses.
So I go to the inside.
And you also have to have the discipline. If he's not locked onto your bumper, you got to drag that brake. You got to put a little bit of throttle out. But the guy on the outside, he's moving away from you. It's so hard to do.
I will
but
not lift off the gas.
sometimes-
I don't even care if it's probably what I'm supposed to be doing. It's hard to lift and think that's what's going to help you.
All right, crew chief, Peacock Pit Box, what's it going for this last start?
Listen, I'm going to pick the bottom just because I think the bottom is the place to be. I think the cars on the bottom are forced to stay there through 1 and 2. They can't jump out of line. The guys in the outside row, 3rd, 4th, 5th in position, they can bail up. They can move up a lane. On the bottom, I think the push stays more consistent all the way to the exit of 2. Now, you get off turn 2, it's game on. I'm not sure what happens down the backstretch, but if you can just get the first mile of this track underway, I think you have the best chance to win it.
Okay, so the crew chief says get that first mile underway. Well, we saw them get almost 2.5 miles completed before the chaos took place in the trioval.
Yeah, I'm not saying that outside line can't do it. We've seen it happen. But if you get a good start, get a good push into turn 1, and then you have the shorter distance, it just seems like the better option to go with.
Matt DiBenedetto, Chris Buescher running 5th and 4th. 2 names you don't normally see up there. Remember when I said Allmendinger was one of the 2 drivers that has 3 consecutive top 10 finishes at restrictor plate tracks? Well, guess what? He's in the top 6.
That's right. Back in 8th place, DJ Kennington. We've seen him spinning down the back straightaway.
The other thing that we've seen on these restarts, the cars that are in the 3rd lane can influence it as well. So, we're talking about, say, the 37 pushing the 20, but also the 47 being able to push the 37. That's so important, and they're teammates. So if the 47 can do a good job of pushing the 37, then that makes the 20 get pushed as well. So what I'm looking at right now is a 32 car. How can he push compared to the 47? Now we're 3 rows back, but it will influence how this restart happens. See, DiBenedetto has trouble. He has damage on his car, so I don't think that lane is going to be able to push as well as the 47.
Yeah, if they come off of turn 2s and the leaders are still side by side, the outside then becomes probably the more competitive lane.
Yellow lights come back on the pace car, meaning they'll go around one more time.
If the outside's organized off of turn 2 and they're still side by side with the leader, they definitely have the momentum and the opportunity to clear down the back straightaway. So if Truex can get clear, if Truex is going to get the lead, he's going to have to be clear by the exit of turn 2.
All right, listen, I've been paying attention down here, and you had me on the bottom. Now you have me on the top. You guys have had great arguments, but you've had great arguments for both lanes. I'm confused now where I think I want to be.
I don't like the top. I'm just saying that if you don't clear the top in 1 and 2, they're going to be a handful down the back straightaway because they'll organize.
Hey, Steve, just throwing one thing out at you. The last time Martin Truex Jr. was on pit road was lap 120. That's been 45 laps. No fuel issues, right? I mean, we wouldn't have any issues with running out of fuel?
Well, they're only about 5 laps away in theory how far they could go, but seeing how 21 of those laps were into yellow, he probably has basically a half a tank of gas left. Okay. I mean, just so many under yellow, so I don't think that's a concern. Now it's going to be all about what the 2 drivers up there have said. The crew chiefs are out of it. Everyone's out of it. Now it's about who gets up the gears and who has the most help.
Yeah, I think that's the key, Steve. That's why the last restart, Kevin Harvick picked his teammate and picked the line he wanted, but his teammate couldn't push him. Boyer was not with him in the outside lane. They were all hooked up together, and they went by him because it was a more organized push. And I'm just looking at the 32 car of DiBenedetto. It just looks like it's damaged to me. The front of the car looks damaged. The 47 car looks clean in the front. So I just think that outside lane may have better pushers. I like the racetrack on the bottom, but I like the lane on the outside.
Well, Jeff, yesterday we saw the pass come from the 2nd row, coming out of turn 4. With this fewer cars, does that dynamic change?
Oh, I think it changes. I think it changes a great deal because when you get to the 4th and 5th row, you have cars that are destroyed. Don't have fenders on some of them.
Well, the fans know that it's about to get crazy again because they have all come to their feet one more time. It'll be 2 laps overtime for the 2nd time. Coming up again, Martin Truex Jr. on the inside. His teammate at Joe Gibbs Racing, Eric Jones, will be on the outside.
Eric Jones is still tight. He's still there on the quarter panel, but there's a big gap between him and Chris Outside line's coming. Outside line's coming.
Moving to the outside. Eric Jones is going to go by Casey Kane. Eric Jones, Mark Truex Jr. side by side for the lead.
Outside line looks more organized. Only 2 cars really down on the inside.
Coming back to the white flag. If they get it, the race is official. 2.5 miles to go at Daytona.
With only 2 cars down there, Truex is going to have to side draft so much. He's not going to get a lot of help from Casey Kane.
Look at this outside lane. 47's pushing to 37. That's going to get him to the 20 possibly. Here it comes. Here comes the outside lane to the 20.
Down the backstretch they go. Eric Jones in the 20. He's in front. He got a big push from the 37 of Buescher. Here comes the 78 once again. Jones has never won in the Monster Energy Cup Series.
Easily blocked
the
that.
78 of Mark Truex Jr. has never won on a restrictor plate track. Coming to the Tri-Oval for the final time, Eric Jones has won at Daytona.
Listen to that emotion. Zappy.
Great job, guys. Great job, Rick. Eric, come on, baby.
Oh, you know he's happy.
That outside line got organized, and he came up and just gave him a shot and pushed him past Martin Truex Jr.
Career-defining night for that kid. His first win in Daytona.
And how emotional Eric Jones has to be. His first ever Cup Series win. His dad's not with him. He lost his dad 2 years ago. To get to race, Eric Jones's dad sold his Corvette, his prized possession, so that Eric Jones could race. Well, Eric Jones, after making it to the Cup Series, bought that Corvette back. And now he gets to celebrate at Daytona, the biggest racetrack NASCAR goes to.
And you saw the smile on Joe Gibbs' face. Joe's been very public in saying how bad he felt for Eric Jones because they've been running good and things just haven't worked out. And he kept saying, man, he's doing a good job not getting the finishes. So tonight was a night where they avoided trouble, did what he needed to do at the end, and got the win.
This moment presented by Sunoco, fueling victories all season long and fueling the biggest victory in Eric Jones's life. The crowd here on this 4th of July weekend, they were able to see some incredible racing. The Xfinity Series last night, and now Eric Jones getting his first career win in the Monster Energy Cup Series.
Teammates with Martin Truex Jr. last year. We wondered what this move to Joe Gibbs Racing was going to do for Eric. Expected big things for him this year, and realizing his potential tonight.
Let's go to Rutledge Wood.
Rick, it is all smiles from Eric Jones down here, picking up his first Cup Series win at Daytona. Eric, how do you feel, buddy? You did it. Congratulations.
Oh, boy. How about that race, boys and girls? Huh? That was something else, man. I thought we were out of it, and then all of a sudden we're right back in it and take the lead and ran away. But wow, what an awesome race. BuyToyota.com on here, and my first Cup win, my first win at Daytona, my first Super Speedway win. What an awesome day, man. It's I'm out of breath. Too much smoke in the car from that burnout. I can barely breathe, but what an awesome finish.
Eric, the years of hard work, you came down, you got that checkered flag, all these fans on their feet. What do you want to say to them?
Thank you. Thank you so much. It was a lot of hard work to be here, man. I was thinking about my mom and dad right after the checker. My mom stayed home from this one. She's gonna miss my first Cup win, so hi, Mom. And my dad, man, he would have been so proud of the work we did to get here. It's just
just an awesome day for us.
Congratulations, buddy.
Thank you.
That's Erik Jones, your first-time winner tonight, Rick.
Said he was out of breath, but he's able to run to get the checkered flag. The 22-year-old from Byron, Michigan, Erik Jones, wins on the biggest stage at Daytona. We're here with you, and post-race coverage will continue coming up next on NBCSN as the journey to the most coveted ground in all of Daytona Beach, Victory Lane. And Junior, talk about this. I mean, this is a drive that this young man will remember the rest of his life.
That's right. I mean, he's winning on what I've told you earlier today, NASCAR's biggest stage. This racetrack is sort of the foundation of our sport, and he gets to drive into very, very hallowed grounds, you know, and he knows this. You know, he's such a racer and such a purist at heart. And he knows how important and how big this is for him. It is a little bit of a long drive, so you get that anticipation as you pull in there at Gatorade Victory Lane. You make that turn right there, and you get to see that crew. These guys start showing their emotion, excitement, and happiness for you.
And he's the real deal.
That is the best place to pull into after a race. Parker.
Guys, we're down here in Victory Lane. Erik Jones is going to get out of the car here. Daytona, a bunch of Gatorade, confetti, the emotion of the first win. Erik, I know how bad you've wanted this first win. Just tell me what it means to you to be at Daytona and get it and be locked into the playoffs the first time in your career.
Oh man, what a day, what a day. I didn't think we were going to have a shot to win it there about halfway, and got ourselves back into contention. The guys did a great job getting this thing fixed up and getting the BuyAToyota.com Camry into Victory Lane. I mean, I've never been that good on super speedways and never really thought this was our shot to win, but to get here tonight, it's pretty awesome, man. It's a first win, and there's not much that's felt better than this one.
What emotion, Rick?
You don't even care about confetti on your face. More live coverage from Daytona coming up next on NBCSN with the post-race show. Coming up next on NBC, your late local news, except on the West Coast. More first-time winners than any other racetrack at Daytona. And it happens for that young man. Erik Jones wins at Daytona.